Ken, this idea that the old are prospering at the expense of the young, the idea we talked about earlier that this, nation's effectively creating a gigantic debt trap for itself, all of these things are powerful concepts, right? But if you look around, you would expect to see some evidence that we've got a problem. Yet, stocks are at a record. Corporate profits at a record. How do we explain that?
Well, stocks are at a record in good part because people want income on their investments. You're not getting much income on bonds, and that's fixed. So God forbid, when those rates turn around, they're going to lose a lot of money. With dividends, they can keep going up. Like I mentioned, Parker Hannifin, it's one of 5 companies that's got a record of 56 years of continuous dividend increases. Now, but you said we're prospering. That's a nice way.
No, the old prospering at the expense of the young.
I'm sorry, you're being polite. We are stealing from the young. We're not prospering, we're stealing. We're robbing, we're taking money out of the pockets of these young people that deserve a better future, okay? So I can, I'm not sure the exact number, but I know the trend. I think 40% of older people were in poverty 40 years ago. That number's down to 10%.
Ken, I want to come at you, if I may, with a quote. Look, there are lots of people who agree with you. There are lots of people who disagree.
Give me credit for one thing. I'm not demonstrating any self-interest in this because I'm saying start with me. Okay, let there be peace and let it begin with me. Start with me. I also, thank God for the good fortune Elaine and I have had in this country, I also believe that if I had to pay for my own health insurance, that's okay. But why? I can afford it, okay? And by the way, I think it's going to end up that way with Obamacare.
So here's one way of framing the opposition to these concepts. If America wants to spend more on children, it's plenty rich enough to do so without eating away at the income of their grandparents. The money can come from the defense budget, farm supports, or dozens of other places, even higher income taxes. Why not take it from there?
Well, hold it. Let's begin by saying, let's do a really objective efficiency analysis. Farm supports. Why should sugar on the world market be less than sugar in America in cost? It makes sense. Why are we doing that?
Well,
because of the beet growers that grow sugar beet in the far west. Look. Let's begin with the fact everybody's ox has got to be gored if we're going to fix the problem. Everyone's. Meaning, among other things, I may end up paying higher taxes, and that's okay.
But you would take away, for example, subsidies for oil production.
Well, ethanol. Take ethanol, for example. We're screwing up food costs, and ethanol wouldn't work if you didn't have government subsidies. Solar power. Solyndra, that great $600 million encouragement of the government picking winners and losers. I went by that building last fall. It broke my heart. Huge sign for sale. The building was 1/10 of a mile long. The face of it, 1/10 of a mile. Look, if these things can't make it in a competitive capitalistic society, they shouldn't make it. And by the way, we all got to play with the same rules. So all these companies that are getting subsidies, depreciation and all this other, maybe we have to look at it all and say, okay, guys, we're going to fix it. Everybody's going to throw skin in the game.
But this idea that we are making America poorer, here's the pushback against that. Paul Krugman, of course, of the New York Times, Keynesian economist, says that deficits would indirectly be making us poorer if they were either leading to big trade deficits, increasing our overseas borrowing, or crowding out investment, reducing future productive capacity, but they are not. So how do you measure it?
I have more faith in that number that came out this morning because Paul Krugman, he's a brilliant man. I take nothing away from him. But he doesn't meet a payroll. He doesn't worry about profit margins. He doesn't worry about how do I stay relevant in my market that I'm in, whatever I'm in, okay? I have no trouble, but understand one thing. You either take taxes from people who earn money, and if you think that's not high enough, you can go to wherever you want. The one thing I know about the 1%ers like me, there's a limit. What's the limit? 100% of my income. If you tax me 100%, I'm done. Unless you say, okay, he's got no income, now let's go after his assets. We may get there. But the only way the government meets its bills is the way you and I do. We pay somebody money. The money either comes from taxes or other activities like revenues and fees and stuff, or a willing and compliant Fed saying, how many bonds you got? $1 billion? Turn the presses on, give us $1 billion worth of currency, here it is. This is simple stuff.
But that's
My problem with the Krugmans of the world is they're brilliant. They just may be too brilliant. Okay, I don't take a thing away from his intellect. But this is simple stuff. Losing weight is not a very scientific endeavor. It's simple. You consume less calories than you burn, and you lose weight. You consume more calories than you burn, you gain weight. So let's stop this crap with all of these highfalutin thoughts and ideas. You know what happens to people? They glaze over. I don't understand what the hell he's saying. The guy, I don't know if you had him, and I in a spirit of complete candor, the guy whose intellect I respect more than anybody, among other things, also his values, is Stanley Druckenmiller.
Oh, Stan's, yes.
You had him on?
Yes.
Let me tell you what. If Krugman wants his equal, in turn, but Stanley ties practical conclusions and practical examples. All right? We're in trouble as a society. We are in trouble. Like it or not, we're in trouble. And trust me, the drunk will have to go through the DTs, or the drunk is not going to stop being a drunk.
Ken, I think you're going to have to play Don King and get a Paul Krugman and a Stan Druckenmiller
I don't want to do it. It wouldn't be a match. In my opinion, it wouldn't be a match.
All right. Well, it always comes down to the drunk.
It would be a TKO in about 30 seconds.